Happy Thursday. Welcome back to Thursday Thoughts with Casey and Jessica. We are here today talking about hiring a professional versus doing it on your own. And let me tell you, we're both like doing it on our own, and we are here to tell you that that has not worked for us very well in most regards. So we'll get into a little bit about that, and we'll introduce ourselves and get right into it. So I am Casey Kephart. I am a functional medicine nutritionist. I own the company Nutrition with Casey, and I have a 12-week course called the Feel Good Formula, helping women with all different types of autoimmune disease have more energy, feel good again, and get back to the activities that you love to do. And I live in St. Petersburg, Florida.
Where the sun always shines.
Where the sun is not shining today, which might be why I'm in a mood, but we won't get into that.
The sun will come out tomorrow.
Yes, it will.
Annie.
I wish you were going to say that as a song, Jessica, and let's sing it.
It is blizzarding here right now in Saskatchewan. So it was raining earlier today, though, but now it is currently blizzarding. So I'm hoping tomorrow the sun is going to come out. So it's supposed to. March
Annie
is.
says so.
Pardon?
Annie says so.
Yes, exactly. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Jessica Melnick. I'm the founder of the Anti-Arthritis Method, the host of the Happy Joints Solutions, Arthritis Solutions group, sorry. And I help both men and women ditch their joint pain so that they can start living life on their own terms. So the way that they choose to, not the way that they have to. So yes, I'm excited today to talk about working with a professional versus trying to get better on our own. So I'll hand it back to you, Casey, to start us off.
Yeah. So I first wanted to just touch on there's two types of people. There are the independent ones, which Jessica and I definitely resonate in this group. And then there is people who thrive in a community. So think back to in your school education days. Where did you sit in the class? Did you sit in the back of the class and kind of never raise your hand? Or were you the person in the front of the class, always raising their hand, always asking a question, always volunteering? You'll start to know what character or what character you resonate with. And so usually the very independent people like Jessica and I in the back of the class who ask our questions outside of class when we absolutely need to, those are the types of people that just like doing it on their own. Usually we've been burned by groups and we're always the one having to take charge and always just do it by ourselves because it won't be right if anybody else does it. And then there's, if you sat in the front of the class, you were probably the one always volunteering, but also asking for help and hiring those professionals that you do today and delegating and asking your husband or wife for things that you need. So we're going to talk a little bit more about the people in the back of the class today and kind of shifting our mindset on why we maybe should ask for help a little more often because it's going to be a lot less stressful and beneficial for our health and our goals and everything else. So I'll hand it now back to you, Jessica.
Yeah, so like Casey, I was also a back of the class kind of person. I did enjoy school, I did work hard, but I was very reluctant to ask for help. And I know as I grew into adulthood too, that became a thing. I would kind of wait to ask for help until I felt like I was just like so struggling and super frustrated. And what I've learned as I've gotten older is that the times where I just broke down and asked for help anyways, I was always like, oh my gosh, I wish I would have done this sooner because
Mhm.
this would have saved me so much time. Because I think sometimes when you're really, really independent, you sometimes think that, oh, well, what is this person going to do to help me? Like, how are they actually going to help me? Can they actually help me? What are they going to do that's actually going to be different than I can already do myself?
Right.
You know? And so even when it came to, like, for example, going to therapy, I was like, well, I used to be a counselor. So what is a counselor going to tell me that I wouldn't already tell myself? And I put it off and I put it off. And I went to therapy, and it's been like one of the best experiences of my life. And I've seen a therapist or various therapists from this last decade. It's been so helpful because having another person's perspective and knowledge is so enriching and has definitely propelled me forward and has helped me in so many areas of my life. So that has been my experience, becoming more of a front of the class person, so to speak. It's just doing things on our own versus having help. It just accelerates the results that we want. We get things done faster. We get to our goal quicker. We do things even better, more efficiently, more thoroughly. It's just, and you don't have to reinvent the wheel, like trying to figure it out on your own when like you could go to somebody who already has the path and the plan already set out for you that can cater it to your needs and propel you forward. So it saves you that time and that energy, right? So instead of doing all the things you're already doing in life, letting somebody else guide the way for you in another area, it can prevent you from getting burnt out and exhausted, feeling isolated and alone.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I'll turn it back to you, Casey. I know I just talked a lot there. I
hear what you're saying about the therapy thing. I'm definitely that way with going to a doctor. Like, I'm a functional medicine nutritionist. Like, what are they going to tell me that I don't already know about my gut right now? Like, I know it. I know it's suffering, and I know what to do the things. So, what is the doctor going to tell me? And it's accountability. It's reassurance. And when I go there, I'm always happy that I do, because just like with the therapy with you, other way, yeah, that way, it's opposite on my end. That you get reassurance when you go to somebody, even if you already knew it. We all like being reassured that we already were thinking it, that we are right in thinking it, because our mind likes to play tricks on us. But also, I think there's a lot of shame revolved in asking for help. Whether that was shame that was initiated during childhood, shame internally that we talked ourselves into, shame from a teacher who always scolded you for asking for help, whatever it is. But some of us kind of have learned to just internalize things and not ask for help because we're feeling shame, or we feel like that's weakness and we should be stronger than we actually are. So identifying, or even identifying, one, if you never ask for help, or if you are that person to ask for help, is step one. But step two is, if you are that person in the back of the class who just does it all by yourself and never asks for help, identifying why you don't ask for help and start to think about if that's actually correct and realistic, or if you've just been saying the story to yourself for years and years and years, and that's what you've led to believe, even though it's probably not the most beneficial or realistic. And we say stories to ourselves all day long, and these are stories we've been telling ourselves for years that we're not even understanding that are true, or how we got to that place in the first part. Does that make sense? I hope I'm
Yeah,
saying it correctly.
absolutely it does. I think we all have, well, I know we all have kind of internalized subconscious beliefs that we're just not even aware of, that we operate on just automatically, and that's just how the human brain works. And so
Mhm.
it can be patterns of thoughts, and patterns of thinking that are keeping us stuck and, keeping us doing the same things over and over again. But we also know that when we don't do something new, if we haven't been successful tackling a problem, and we don't try something new, if we keep doing the same things that we're doing, we're not going to get a new result. We're just spending more time and we're spinning our wheels.
Yeah, same keys don't open new doors. I think that's the quote.
I like that.
Yeah, definitely. So after you've identified, well, I guess I'll say this. So things that we've learned from Jessica and I just being in the back of the class and not asking for help, we've learned that we really need the reassurance. but also we learned that community is so important for one, just the basic foundation of like Maslow's needs of hierarchy of we need to feel a part of something, secure, loved, and being a part of a group, a community, getting help, knowing that you're not alone is one part of achieving your goals and feeling needed and wanted and helped. So we've learned that we need to reach out to that community for help in order to make us feel needed, wanted, helped. I don't know the word for that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's really, really empowering to be in a group of people who have the same mindset and who are working
Mhm.
towards a similar goal. There's just a lot of positive energy in that. I know that sounds a little woo woo, but I believe that some of the woo woo was really beneficial for us. You
Mhm.
know, some of the stuff that's maybe not as logical can be just as beneficial as the stuff that is, you know, step by step and very logical and science based. So really important. I think you just feed off that positive energy of each other when you're in the group, and also having that accountability to stay on track
Mhm.
and timelines. Within that group, and having each other like being encouraged by other people
Yeah.
to stay on track and sharing each other's ideas. I
Mhm.
know one example of myself being part of a group, paying for services to help me build my business. And there were times where I'd get stuck, and then I would wait and I would wait and I would try to figure it out on my own,
Mhm.
and I'd get frustrated. And then I would ask for help, and I'd always be like, oh my gosh, why did I wait so long? I got so many good suggestions and so much support, so much help.
Yeah.
And I was able to solve my problem so quickly. And I
Yeah.
could have had that done weeks earlier if I
Yep.
would have just reached out sooner.
Yeah.
So, and this is, so this is not just for sharing this with you guys, because like we have personal experience with this, in terms of, how we've held our own selves back by not reaching out for professional support.
Yeah. And it's like Jessica said, it's faster, it's easier, and it's less time consuming, and you don't need to reinvent the wheel. So we get in our own ways and we spend more time, spend more money, and spend more stress trying to figure it out on our own when literally it could have been solved in 10 minutes, a half hour, an hour, or a day when you've just wasted a month on it. So in terms of energy and getting your goals accomplished, reaching out to somebody can really, really help that. And we have to put our own unrealistic beliefs aside to be able to reach out for help and be open minded about it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it'd be helpful for us to go into some of the reasons that we do resist getting help. And when I say we, I'm talking about people in general, why we resist this. So some of this will be a little bit overlap what we've talked about already, but often we resist getting help because we don't want to spend the money.
Yeah.
That's a huge one. And I think it's more so with women than men. And again, I'm generalizing, this isn't true for everybody, but women have been socialized, at least in our culture, to always put everybody else before themselves. And if you are a mom, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So
Mhm.
we are just socialized to care about everybody else, put everybody else's needs in front of ourselves. So where we wouldn't hesitate to spend money on our children, we would hesitate to spend that money on ourselves.
Yeah.
But what's really important to know is that when we are thriving, the people around us are also going to benefit from that. They're going to
Yeah.
thrive too.
Yeah.
So yeah, go
I,
ahead.
I literally just listened to a podcast or a video on that yesterday, and she said everything that you just said about that. And one more to that point is showing your kids or your loved ones that you still have goals and dreams and ambitions is one of the most important things that you can do for your children or your spouse or your loved ones so that they feel motivated to go after their dreams and motivations as well. So, taking care of yourself is also taking care of your loved ones too.
Absolutely. And your time is worth money. Your time is valuable. It's very valuable, and it is our most precious resource that we have. It's infinite, or it's not infinite. We don't have an amount that goes on forever and ever. So
Right.
time is very, very, very valuable. And I know sometimes we resist because we don't want to take the time to put our health first,
Yeah.
and to get that help and take the time to do that process. But
Mhm.
thing is that if we don't take that time to take care of our health now, where are we going to be, 3 months, 6 months, a year down the road? Time is precious, and our lives are precious.
Right. Yeah, I agree. Fear of failure is often why we sometimes resist to ask for help or be in a community, is because we don't want to let ourselves down. And I know I've said this on another live before, but a quote that always sticks with me about this is, the more we let ourselves down and not stick goals, the less confidence we have in ourselves. And so I'm assuming if we are fearing failure, we've failed before, which is normal and healthy, and we need to do it. But we can't just stick in that fear of failure for the rest of our lives, because we will never grow. We will literally just stand still in our lives. And that's just not how life works. We need to keep failing to find other solutions. And what's that quote, or what people say, like, fail big so you can win big, or something like that, is
Well, and
if,
failure is part of success. It's part
yeah,
of the process.
yeah, and none of us are perfect. And so fear of failure is huge, and we all have it, and you are not the only person that has it, let me tell you that. But we all, I know Jessica, we have worked on trying to get out of that mindset of fear of failure to keep moving on and to keep making ourselves better. So when that fear of failure comes up, recognize it. Say, I'm fearing failure right now, and then tell yourself whatever you need to get past that, because it's just a fear, and it's just an emotion, and it's a state. You can get out of that state with a mindset shift.
Yes, and I'd love to add to that, because this has been, I feel like, the story of my life. And they often say, feel the fear and do it anyway. I'm not referring to doing something that's like super risky or anything like that's going to hurt you.
Jump off a building.
Yeah, I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about, take that chance, and work towards your health goal. Like, for example, you can't fail unless you quit. You literally
Yeah.
cannot fail unless you quit trying. And
Yeah.
that's what I tell my clients, like, if you go off plan and fail, then you just pick yourself back up and
Yep.
dust yourself off. And that's what we're here to help you with. And you begin, you go back to the plan, you go back on track. And every step forward is a step forward. So
Mhm.
you're not failing unless you just quit and give up.
Yeah. Yeah, and we have to tell ourselves that all the time. It's something that might never go away, this fear, but it's how you talk to yourself and how you get out of it, which is important. And it comes more of a habit, and it takes less time to get out of that state that you're in.
Yeah.
Um, Another thing going right along with fear of failure is fear of letting another person down.
Mhm.
Oftentimes, we're okay with failing ourselves, but we're not okay with failing other people, because we have so much empathy or love or care for another person, or just don't want to waste their time and feel embarrassed letting them down. But um, this is another thing that just happens in life. And if you're already fearing letting another person down, you're already in the right position, that you are caring about the other person, and they're going to understand that people fail all the time, and they're there to help you get out of that too. Like, Jessica and I both have programs, right? We're both accountability partners, we both coach, we both guide and direct and teach. There's people that fail. I don't even like using the word fail right now, but there's people that get off track, and we're there to help pick them back up. That's why we're there. That's why we're getting paid to do this. And that's why if you hire a weight loss coach, a life coach, a nutrition coach, a therapists, like they know the journey goes up and down and up and down, and they're there to pick you up when you're in the down. So you're never letting another person down, um, unless you deliberately do it to let that person down.
Mhm. I'd say the biggest fear would be like, and I don't think we even necessarily think of this, is letting ourselves down.
Hmm.
You know, what are the consequences of not doing what we know that we need to do to take care of ourselves? We're letting ourselves down. And I think that that whole mind frame of, always worrying about what other people think. Well, what do you think?
Hmm.
What do you want? That is just as important,
Yeah.
and I think that we forget about how important what we want is.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And it's boosting, like going back to that quote, it's boosting your confidence in succeeding in things that's going to help later decisions down the road and make you feel confident that you will succeed. So, following up and following through with small little goals and accomplishing them is going to help boost your confidence for bigger goals that you have. So, for example, if you set today's task to clean the dishes, because they're piling up, and you do them, you're going to gain a little more confidence that tomorrow you're going to complete your task again, and then the next day and the next day and the next day. And then you'll be like, well, I'm going to go hire a business coach to help lift my business off the ground, and you're going to have so much confidence that you're going to be able to follow through with that. And that failure, not fear, is going to be a little less. So start with small things throughout the day or daily. That's going to help boost your confidence in that. And this is something normal. We all have to do it. So we're not excluding anybody here, and we do it every single day.
Yeah, and I know this is kind of off our track a little bit, but we have all done harder things before. We have all done hard things. And if you can you've got through those things, you're still here. You can also do something about your health. Like you've done way harder things. If you're a woman and you're a mom and you've given birth, if
Mm-hmm.
you're raising children, even if you haven't given birth to them, man, like you have accomplished the hardest things.
Yeah.
So you can do hard things. You're completely capable.
In the Whole 30 book, the first part is, oh, what's her name? Something, gosh darn it, I'll think about it. But
I think her
she has
name's
this
Melissa,
little,
the Whole 30.
yeah,
Yeah,
yes,
Melissa Urban. Yeah.
yes, Melissa Urban, thank you. And she used to be a drug addict in her 20s, and she writes this blurb in her Whole 30 book, and she said, changing your diet is not hard. Quitting heroin is hard. And so she was basically just saying, like, we've done harder things in our life, so this should not be as hard, or it would give you the confidence that you overcame a drug addiction, so you can overcome, changing your diet or losing weight or whatever your goal is. So yeah, think about the hardest things that you've had to go through in life, and then think about this goal. It's going to make it look like a sand particle in a sand dune.
Yes, I love that.
Mm-hmm.
So why don't we look at some of the costs of just, keeping on trying to do it on our own and possibly not getting where we want to be and where we need to be health-wise. So big one is too much time and energy and not getting where you want to be. So, and I'm totally guilty of this one. And again, no shame in this. Everybody has their process. I know when I started this, I started having my arthritis symptoms before I was in nutrition school. And I was already like very much passionate about health and wellness and nutrition, and I had a lot of knowledge. So I couldn't understand why what I was currently eating and doing was not working for me, because at that time I was what I considered the best shape of my life. I was eating a super healthy, like mostly like plant-based diet, hardly any meat and all this stuff. Like anyone would have looked at my diet and they would be like, wow, like I
Mm-hmm.
don't know how you aren't the healthiest person in the world eating
Yep.
that diet. And it wasn't the right diet for me. I just didn't know it at the time, but I continued. So having like off and on flare ups for years before I was in nutrition school, where I finally had the resources and the education to figure out the problem myself. But I had just struggled and struggled for years and years and years trying to figure out what the heck to do. Like I tried all these different elimination diets and went to naturopaths, and I had, different tests done and took a whole bunch of different supplements. And I was still like, every once in a while, I'd be like, oh, there's the flare up again, can't walk. So I look back on that, and I don't blame myself or like regret that, but I know that if I would have had help and guidance, I would have I would have felt so much better, so much faster. I wouldn't have had to struggle and try to figure things out on my own. And like I said, even though I used my education and the resources I had through my education in nutrition to figure out what to do, I still was doing it like on my on my own.
Yeah.
And I really missed having like an accountability partner and somebody to do it with that would have, helped me when I was like really struggling to do it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, your time and your energy are very valuable.
And costly, definitely. So another thing is, what does it cost you to not get results? What does it cost to not be able to work, to continue working? Or what does it cost you to enjoy retirement or not enjoy retirement? Spending time with your grandkids, that cost you. Keeping up with your own children, or being active yourself and riding bikes or jogging, and participating in recreational activities that you want to and love. Those are all things that are costing you, emotionally, mentally, physically, and maybe financially too. So think about that with doing it on your own versus hiring somebody for help.
Yeah. And depending on where you live in the world too, there's various medical costs, possible
Mhm.
hospital stays, possible medication costs, sick time, having to go on disability from your job, your career, experiencing side effects of medications and long-term physical ramifications from your illness and or the medication. So those are other huge ramifications and costs, of not getting better.
Yeah, definitely. And I think the last one to wrap that up is, what does it cost? What does your illness cost you in your relationships, your self-image, your career, your thoughts, your emotions, your goals? I know both of Jessica and I have been sick. We have been ill. We have felt awful. And I know that has affected my relationships. With boyfriends and friends and parents. I know it's affected my career. I didn't want to get up and work. I didn't want to boost my energy to do better in my job. I didn't care, about other people. I just cared about myself because I felt so awful. That costs a lot in life. Um, and sometimes it's just easier hiring somebody. Not
Amen
feel
to
that
that.
way. Yeah.
So that's why Casey and I both have the programs that we do and why we do the work that we do. We want you to have that, your time and energy back. And we're going to walk you through the process of getting rid of, like myself, arthritis, and Casey, other autoimmune conditions, because we want you to save that time, that energy, and that money over the long term. And we want you to be joyful and have a full, abundant, beautiful life that includes all of the things that you want to do,
Like it's possible.
Yes, absolutely. And being sick, it just takes all that stuff away, or it makes it much, much more difficult. And you don't have to feel that way.
Yeah, definitely. So reach out to us if you are thinking or contemplating or ready to join either our program or need a boost in confidence. We're here. Jessica's going to put her link to book a call with her if you were in your feels today about everything we said, and you don't want to stay sick anymore and you feel like what our programs can do can help you. Book a call.
Yes.
And then we'll be back on Tuesday. We're going to talk about accountability. So going right off of this live into why accountability can help, how it's helped us, how it can help other people. This is what we do all gosh darn day is keep people accountable. And Jessica and I have our own accountability system with ourselves and each other. Yeah, I mean, you're my accountability partner, Jessica. So.
And you're mine, you know, we keep each other accountable. And you know what? Another thing about fear of failure, just before we go, you know, Casey and I, we could have put off doing these lives forever and ever because we could have come up with all the excuses. Like, I'm a recovering perfectionist. I would have been like, my office doesn't look nice enough back here. All my diplomas are behind my head. My artwork's over here. Nobody can see how nice it is in parts. You know, it doesn't
you thought about that.
You know, all the stupid things I thought of. I'm glad that you at least aren't worrying about that. But, you know, it'd be like, oh, well, you know, it's not our, you know, our things aren't formal enough. You know, what if people don't like what we have to say, or they don't like our personality, or, you know, I'm having a bad hair day, you know, like all the excuses in the world we could have come up with to not do this, you know, because it's, you know, when you start doing something new, it's nerve-wracking. But when you have something valuable to give, you should share it. And just like I think when you have a life that you want to enjoy and that you want to share with others, you want to feel good, you know? And fear is not a signal that something is wrong. It's a signal that it's trying to tell you something needs to change.
I like that. Definitely. It is something to tell with ourselves, but also like fear of reaching out to somebody you don't know. Like we both reached out to each other and we didn't know each other. And, you know, fear of just talking to somebody new was the start of this. So we had to get out of our comfort zones to make this possible. And that goes with anything in life that you're dealing with. Okay, I think we need to mic drop here because we could just
keep a long one.
I know. Okay, join us Tuesday as we talk about accountability. Start thinking about what you want in accountability, who's your accountability partner if you have one, and things like that. Jessica is going to post her booking call link to schedule a call with her just to talk. And we will see you next week. Have a great weekend.
Everyone.